I'm getting sick and tired of you pranking me about this booger in my nose.
Ooh. She popped his mouth wide open. Shaeeda hits Bilal upside the head twice. And he threatens to kick her out of the car.
You thought I was joking?
This is a clear case of when you're playing with your partner and you think they're playing with you, but they're not.
No, I feel like I'm being punished.
Ooh, things got rough for these two. We're gonna talk about it. Plus, Jibris' mom tells Miona she needs to wear clothes that are not as revealing in the house, especially around her husband.
In the house, and Brian's around and that kind of thing, I'm just wondering if you might be willing to wear some that you already have that's a little bit more modest.
I have mixed feelings about this conversation, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Let's get into it. Hey 90 Day Fans fam, it's Melicia. I'm not gonna lie, I'm with some of you. I'm starting to miss the Gino and Jasmine of it all.
So take off your damn hat. Those are nuts.
And Angela and Michael.
Listen, I should have left you when I went in there and your penis wasn't what you said it was. You lied from the beginning, Michael.
I need some spice in my 90-day life.
Yes, wild ones.
This week's episode of 90 Day was good though. Let's get into Bilal and Shaeeda's fight, starting from the top.
Today is the first Friday that Shaeeda's here with me, so I'm taking Shaeeda to Juma.
Bilal and Shaeeda are headed to a worship service.
And we pray, and it's very similar to what a Christian may do on Sunday when they go to church.
And Shaeeda is extremely nervous because on top of meeting his spiritual family, she's also meeting his ex-wife, who's the mother of his kids.
My nerves are on high because it's important for us to get along. If she doesn't approve of me, that negatively affects my relationship with Bilal because her negativity would rub off on their children and they would share it on me. And I'm not looking for toxic or problems right now.
In the car, Shai expresses how anxious she is to Bilal. But she starts to feel like he isn't really hearing her because instead of just acknowledging how she feels, he starts to do what a lot of us do when we try to make someone feel better, which is we make it about us.
Everything you're feeling, I've been through the same stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Remember, I met your people before you met my people.
But you have to understand, you came as a visitor. I am coming here with the possibility of staying here forever and making my life with you. So my situation is different. You cannot take away how I feel.
The point I was making is that I can relate to you. I was trying to connect with you.
When talking to the cameras, Shaeeda reveals that Bilal thinks she's overreacting, and he's always lecturing her.
I'm not looking for you to be my dad. I'm looking for you to be my supportive fiancé and speak to me like your fiancé.
Once she reminds Bilal to just respect how she feels, he says okay. But then this little prankster tells Shai she has a booger in her nose. And that joke is what leads to the fight.
You just might want to get that booger out of your nose before you meet
I don't have no booger in my nose.
Yeah, you got a
no,
booger
I
in your
don't.
nose. It's green and brownish.
Oh, whatever.
Look like
Maybe you have something stuck in your teeth.
Look like it got hair on it.
This is clearly a joke Bilal pulls often because Shaeeda didn't even bother to look.
I'm getting sick and tired of you pranking me about this booger in my nose. I hate this type of joke. That's an American thing.
Wait, let's take a moment to look at Bilal's face when Shaeeda hit him upside the head. That was the type of pop you give a child. I get that Shaeeda was playing, but I know a lot of grown men who would not let that fly, especially when there are cameras in the car filming you for a national television show.
Hell no! I don't know where you come from, but the environment I come from, we keep our hands to ourselves.
So I can't do this?
So what I'm gonna tell you is, stop. You gonna try to get a wreck?
Shaeeda goes on to tell Bilal that people in her country are touchy-feely, but he could care less.
Don't do that.
We hit.
It's disrespectful where I come from.
To be honest, I've been in a position similar to Shaeeda's before, where I was in a playful mood, and turns out the person I was playing with wasn't. But I didn't pick that up until it was too late. And then I was like, ugh, now I have to deal with you being mad at me?
Can you just let this go?
It happens.
Keep your hands to yourself and watch your tongue. Because I can literally pull over right now, and you'll be taking an Uber for the rest of the ride home.
Okay, Dad.
You're not gonna do that to me.
Hey,
You know, when you came to my country, I treated you very well, right? I did not say.
Did you not just put your hands on me?
Yeah, but it's not
just
in
once.
a serious way.
Yeah.
No,
that's
I'm gonna give you a
disrespectful.
serious hit.
Now, Shaeeda, you'd pushed it. Bilal starts to pull over on the side of the highway, and he calls Shaeeda aggressive and says she's making him see her in a different light. And while Shaeeda says she meant it as a joke, Bilal doesn't see anything funny here.
You have to be a madman to stop on the side of the road like this.
Yeah, this is the highway.
Just because I give you a little tap.
Yeah.
You see, she didn't do it again.
I'm thinking you're actually a violent person.
You lose a lot of points.
And
for
that's
that.
what I'm not trying to be with.
At this point, Bilal gets back on the road and heads to pick up his kids. But Shaeeda is confused by his reaction, and she brings up his infamous prank when he made her stay in his old house during her first night in America.
I don't understand. Like, Bilal put me through this horrible prank, having me spend the night at his old house. I would think that he would have had a much lighter sense of humor when it comes to me giving him a little tap on the head. But apparently, like, he's not playful when it comes to him.
Aw. What do y'all think? Do you think Bilal overreacted? Or do you think Shai pushed it? Or is it both? I think Shai pushed it. When someone tells you to stop, you should stop. That's rule number 1.
Period.
But I also think it was a bit dramatic for Bilal to pull over the car on the highway, knowing he was not about to make her get out. They get to the Islamic center, and Bilal basically leaves Shai on her own.
I feel alone. He is greeting his relatives, his friends, and his community. And I'm by myself. He's not trying to make me feel better. He is upset, he's keeping distance.
But when it was time for her to meet Bilal's ex-wife, things actually went well, which doesn't really surprise me. His ex-wife seems cool.
So, Shaeeda, this is Shaeeda. And Shaeeda, this is Shaeeda.
Nice to meet you.
And this is the lady of the house.
She wants a bean pie.
That's the one who runs the house for you, so.
Yeah.
She's so pretty.
Inshallah, we'll talk.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So like
Like Islam.
After the service, Bilal drops Shai back off at home and takes his kids to practice. When he returns to the house, Shai is dressed up and ready for their scheduled date night. But he tells her he is not in the mood.
Still kind of taken away for like what happened in the car.
Bilal explains that he was upset that she repeatedly touched him when he asked her not to. And Shai responds by saying she was playing, once again.
I'm the biggest jokester that it is, so I get all that fun and humor and all that. But then there's also a time when you do something and somebody's like, you know what, you overstepped your boundaries. It's like, my bad, I didn't mean it that way. But then for you, it's just like, you know, you kept.
I feel like Bilal, he tends to get hurt so easily. Where I come from, we say things, we offend each other, and we move on.
Shaeeda says she thinks cultural differences are getting in the way here. And she even tears up when she explains to Bilal how isolated he made her feel at the worship service.
I mean, obviously, I don't want you to cry, but it was pretty hurtful to me.
But she goes on to assure him that she will not put her hands on him again, now that she knows it seriously upset him.
I'm very, very sorry. And I will not do it again.
And he accepts her apology. But after this entire incident, it's clear to him that they are not ready for marriage.
Right now, we are not ready to walk down that aisle.
No, I feel like I'm being punished because you cancel our date night.
I didn't say I had to cancel the date late. I said I didn't really feel like going because we needed to talk about this. I mean, everything was just, the day did not go the way that I hoped it would go.
Whew, the growing pains of being in a relationship. You have to learn where your partner's boundaries are. Some people are okay with play hitting, which, if you ask me, that can get real sticky. And then you have others who are just flat out against it. Also, you teach people how to treat you. So although I think Bilal was being a bit stubborn for holding on to it for so long, like Shaeeda said, she'll never do it again. When I spoke to Bilal and Shaeeda last month, I asked him about what was going through his head when he threatened to kick her out of the car. And here's what he had to say.
One of the things that she always will talk about, that she's attracted to someone who doesn't pacify her, you know, or someone who has a backbone. She will always say that, like, you need to get a backbone. So it's kind of like I'm in a catch-22. You know, I try to appease her, and at the same time, she wants the backbone. So, and anytime I'm like, okay, if I have a different opinion than her, and I'm trying to stand up, have this backbone, and then it's kind of like the Trini force of come at you, and it's like, dude, like, what's the deal? We need to get to a compromise instead of me just always kneeling and bowing down to you.
Oh, speaking of compromise, let's get into Jibris' mom, Mahala and Miona. Hopefully they can find some common ground when it comes to how Miona dresses.
I've been in the US for a few weeks, and it's definitely not as comfortable as I wish to live in this house.
Jibri is off working on music, and Miona is at the house, still adjusting to life in South Dakota and living with Jibri's parents.
I feel like Jibri's parents are nice people, but also strict a little bit.
Mahala comes downstairs and offers to help Miona do her laundry. They get in the laundry room, and Miona picks up one of her crop tops.
What is that? Like for your hair?
No, that's a top.
Oh,
It was like this.
okay.
You don't like it?
I think it's little.
This is when Jibri's mom takes an opportunity to bring up the way Miona dresses, which has been a concern of hers before Miona even made it to America.
It's just interesting to see some of the things because, like, when Jibri was first showing me your, like, social media and that kind of stuff before you came, I was a little bit nervous about how you might adjust to Rapid City because not a lot of people kind of wear shirts that little here.
Let me go ahead and tell you why I have mixed feelings before we get into the rest. Jibri's mom is a therapist, which means she should know how our minds work. And for the most part, she should be a great communicator. But I feel like this conversation she had with Miona came off judgmental. And I'm sure this was not her intention, but it also seemed as if she was trying to shame Miona into changing.
You seem like really intelligent, and I just worry that sometimes wearing a shirt like what you just showed me, like, can take away from that, can be a distraction.
I understand, but I want to express myself how I want, and I want to learn to be comfortable in my body.
That, on top of her bringing up the residents of South Dakota,
I was a little bit nervous about how you might adjust to Rapid City because not a lot of people kind of wear shirts that little here.
in my opinion, isn't the best approach. It doesn't come off as if she's trying to help this 23-year-old girl see things from a new perspective. It just sounds like slight shade. Also, personally, I just don't believe in telling people to tone down who they are to fit in. I mean, look at her son. He lives in South Dakota, and I know he's a unicorn there. No one else looks or dresses like him.
This is who I am, and I am goofy, and I am wild, and I got a lot of energy, and what you gonna do about it?
Now, on the other hand, this is the other side of my mixed feelings. I can only imagine how difficult of a conversation this is to have with your son's fiance in the first place. So, it's not gonna be perfect. And also, to be woman enough to say what Mahala says next to Miona about her husband Brian is something you can't help but respect.
And I don't want to judge you, but I do want to ask that, like, when you and Jibri are out doing your thing, you can wear whatever you wear, obviously, in the house, and Brian's around and that kind of thing. I'm just wondering if you might be willing to not change, like, your clothes, but just wear some that you already have that's a little bit more modest, a little bit more covering.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's all about respect. Miona says this conversation doesn't feel great, and it makes her feel like a child. But after all, it's Mahala's house.
If Miona chooses not to adjust the way that she dresses in our home, to me, that is a sign of a deeper issue of disrespect. Why do her needs trump everybody else's needs?
True. And of course, you know Miona tells Jibri about this conversation.
So I was putting some stuff in the laundry and she was like, what kind of top is that?
Why is she doing all that?
She's like, I don't want you walking around the house in that. And then she mentioned that she don't want me like walking in front of Brian like that. That was really weird.
She's taking it too far.
Jibri approaches his mother about it.
Honestly, I'm just gonna get straight to it. I'm pissed off because this is not how I expected this to go. And Miona is not feeling comfortable.
As the conversation goes on, in my opinion, Jabri's mom starts to play a little bit more innocent than she really was in her conversation with Miona.
She's feeling like you're trying to change her into somebody, and I don't understand if you're just trying to be like overprotective mom, but I'm not 15 years old anymore.
So I don't know what you're talking about. When I was talking with Miona, she didn't seem this upset. Was that not real?
Of course. She's not gonna go off on you. She's living in your house and you're about to be her mother-in-law. It was clear as day that Miona didn't feel like that was a safe space. But, okay.
I'm getting married. I got 90 days. I got a lot of pressure. She don't get married in God knows where, and that's stressing me out.
So, Jibri, what are you really upset about? Because I think it's sounding more like you're upset about how you and Miona are doing right now.
This conversation became less about his mom asking Miona to dress differently and more about the pressure Miona's putting on Jibri to leave his parents' house and live the life of her dreams, which is having this beautiful wedding on the beach and living in LA. The pressure Jibri is feeling is what has his mom concerned, that he's moving too fast with Miona and he's headed for a brick wall.
You're not gonna always be there to pick me up.
No, I'm
I gotta
not.
pick myself up. That's why I'm
if
learning
Miona's
this.
the one who's supposed to be there with you, to be there when you pick yourself up, then I gotta know that she can do it.
Do what?
Do the work. That she's not gonna sit there and expect everybody else to do the work for her because she's pretty or shows her breasts.
Mom.
Jibri.
If you think I'll make a mistake, which is how I'm taking this, let me make it.
I know that's hard for a mom to hear. Well, next week, Miona meets another special woman in Jibri's life.
The coolest grandma in the world.
I really hope my grandma likes Miona.
Ooh.
Come here, baby.
So what do you think of Rapid City so far?
I want to move from here, definitely.
But it's a good place to save money, so don't speak for both of us.
Will Miona get her way? We'll see. All right, 90 Day Fans fam, make sure you stick with ET because we are covering it all. I will see you next time.